Morning, guys. Saturday morning. It's about 11 o'clock. I came back out here last night and worked on this thing for a little bit and got one side masked up. And I can't remember if that was in the video or not, but I got the passenger side ready last night. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I know it was in the video. So I came in this morning and got this side ready to go, and truck's bagged up and ready to fly, and it's time to put some sealer over these spots. And son of a bitch, if I didn't sand through and hit some factory sealer in a couple of spots when I was knocking my blend line off, which probably would have been okay without me fussing with it, but you know, it is what it is. So got the 3 spots on that side and a couple more on this side, and I've already got the sealer mixed up. We've got that guy, those couple, and then over here, and I will be moving the light over here because I won't be able to see. I got a couple sand throughs into my base coat that I need to make sure that I take care of. And for the sealer, we got that kind, the P124 matrix sealer. There's the activator. That's a 4-to-1 in the mixing cup. And we're going to spray it with the SRI DeVilbiss touch-up gun. I like using this for spot sealing stuff. That way I don't have to clean a bigger gun. So let's, I got to wind up an air hose here. So I'll put you guys on the stand and we'll get the large diameter air hose out. A couple people had made comments before about not getting enough air for an HVLP gun. Well, I have this kind of hose. And this is, I believe, either 3/8 or 1/2 inch hose, and those are the high flow style couplers. So, I don't know, and I've got 1/2 inch airline running everywhere else, which, if I planned on being here forever and ever and ever, which I don't, I would probably plumb with much larger airlines, probably 3/4 or 1 inch. Not sure. Haven't decided what my dream shop's going to be, so. But you get to see a lot of shops on YouTube and how people set things up and things they do and don't like about it. And for sure you want the biggest you can afford. I take this place for granted. It's a lot bigger than I think it is, so to move everything to a new shop, I think I would need considerably more space than I realize. Hopefully we don't run into any moisture problems today. This floor is still pretty damn cold. Alrighty. I'll go get the spray gun and we'll set you guys up. So this is going to be a long one today, fellas. This is going to be from sealer to clear coat. So grab your popcorn. Alrighty. I've adjusted the pattern down to a smaller spray for doing these spots so I don't get so much overspray. but I'm going to feather the trigger so I don't get much paint. I'm only going to pull it back far enough to get a wet coat on here. Something like that. Alright, so that's that. That's one coat just to hold those repairs down. And I can't tell as of yet, but it still looks like that bodywork's showing right through that sealer, which just blows my mind. But you know, we'll come back and maybe we'll make another pass over that. Says you can do 1 to 2 wet coats on there, so we shall see. So I'll bring you back when it's paint time. Okay guys, we got some red mixed, and you can see there's kind of a little bit of a sheen on this, and that is MP500 color blender. Helps fill in some scratches. Probably didn't need it so much with the solid color, but I need some practice with it, so I went ahead and followed the instructions and laid down a light coat of that with the Sata Jet 3000 HVLP. And now what we're going to do, we're going to take and try and color in each one of our primer areas with that gun. And then I'll show you the blending process when we come to it. But for now, we're just going to do these areas. just to sort of give you an idea, I'm going to run around and do the other side. So that's where we're at for the moment, and probably take a couple more coats like that to hide it. Maybe one more will get it, and then we'll start blending out. So we will we'll turn you guys back on here in a couple minutes. So we'll catch it. All right, guys, it's time for coat 2 here. So we're going to go ahead and I just keep showing you the same side rather than dragging you around. Try and shorten this video up a little bit. Alright, there's coat 2, and I think we're pretty well hidden. So, give you guys a quick look. I think that bodywork's hidden. I just need to work away from these, just in case there happens to be any sealer out there hanging out. There's some trash in it already, but no biggie. I already did the other side first, so I wouldn't have to move the light for you. It's still flashing off, but yeah, we hid in 2 coats, so that sealer worked out pretty good. So far, so good. So we're gonna let this flash. I gotta keep turning the heat back on because we're getting down there to the nitty-gritty on our temperature. We're about yeah, it doesn't like to focus. We're about 72 and about 42% humidity, so not too bad. So we'll bring you guys back when there's some blending going on. See ya. Alright guys, I'll show you what we got here. I ran into the same snafu I've been running into, and I'll tell you how I fixed it, and it is not the right way to fix it, but it works. Alright, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but this is all hidden. You can't see anything. Can't see any funkiness to it. That's a little bit different color there, but it's just a matter of where the dry edge was on the paint. And the same thing with this one right here. Those are all hidden. Now what I ran into is the same thing I've been running into, and I'm gonna have a little chat with the boss about this to see if we can't figure out what it is. But it's dark over here and you can't see it now. But this one right down here, I had 3 coats of high build primer over top of that clear coat that was on there, trying to get rid of that bullseye that was in there. And I'm still fighting it. and I'll tell you how I'm fixing it. I'm putting a couple coats of base on there and blocking it out with 800. Take a look at it, make sure the scratch is uniform, and doing it again. That one I've had to do twice. I'm going on 3 times. This one up here I'm going to let fly. It's just a little goofy in the edge, and I don't think the camera will even pick it up. I'm not going to roll the light over. And this one's okay too. So we've got hiding. Actually, I'm going to roll the damn light over here because you need to see what I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm not going to do it. You need to see it. I just hope the camera will pick it up. The driver's side's ready to start some blending, so we're going to go ahead and get to doing that. This side has got to have some tinkering yet. It's not bad, but it's not right either. And actually, you might be able to see. I don't think you can see it. Okay, back to the show. Looks like my one up above the style line might be a little goofy yet too. Yep, they're both goofy. Okay, here's what we got. I don't know if the damn camera will get this or not. But there is a little bit of a ring right in there to the left of my finger. This one, you only catch it in certain light, and it could be a non-coverage thing, but I doubt it. So this one's the one that's easy to pick out right here. See if the camera will focus. Yep, you can see it. Right on the tip of my finger, that area right there. The rest of it's pretty good. That's what's been fighting me all damn day. I've been on this since 9 o'clock this morning, and it's like 3:30. So even after sealing those spots up, they still bit me in the ass. So we're going to talk to the boss man and see if we can't figure out what's going on here. If it's something I'm doing wrong. I've never had problems like this with other high build primers and feather edging and things like that. So I don't know if I've changed my technique somewhere along the line or if I've got some primer that's got some issues. I don't know. I don't think that's what it is. I tend to believe it's me. But what we're going to do to get rid of this issue is we're going to block those spots out. So I'm not going to show doing it really. I needed to tell you that. That's what's taken this so long. Not that you would know, because you're not going to know till this is uploaded. But I'm going to go ahead and hit these couple of spots real quick, and I'll bring you back. All right, guys, we're going to start blending on this driver's side. And as we talked before, I want the front of this door to match this fender. And there's already color down here, so I don't have to worry too much about that because that was painted before. But I do have this spot in the middle of the door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry color all the way to this, and then I'm going to pick up the gun and pull it away a little bit and fan that color out. And up the pillar a little bit. And then as far as the stuff on the back here, there's already color down here, and this cap holder's already got color on it. The only slight mismatch problem we might have will be right in here. And I mean, it's hard to say if it was just the clear that was causing a slight mismatch. It was making my paint a little bit brighter. And I did buff pretty hard on it to make sure. So we're going to start up here, and I'll show you how this is going to go. And I think we're going to move you guys over here because this is the area I want you to see. So I'm going to start on the paper and carry a full coat until I get out to here and then pull it away. This is all hidden body work, so we don't need to keep hammering a bunch more paint on it. But I don't want to just carry a little bit of paint here and then I have a big goofy colored spot here if that color is off. Kind of like that. Now my next coat that I put on this, I'm going to actually reduce the color down with some MP500 blender. But it's not ready to do that yet. I have to get back on the, oops, just run into the wall here. I got to get back on that driver's side and put one more coat on that, or passenger side, excuse me. One more coat on that where I just sanded that stuff to make sure that's going away. So we'll bring you back in a little bit. Hey guys, happy Sunday, and we're out here at the shop. We did not finish the Duramax yesterday. We're getting some ringing problems with the primer, and when I put the base coat on, and these primed areas here, that's epoxy primer. We're going to give that a go around and see if that'll hold it down. Both sides had the problem. This side was worse than the other for sure. I wish that light would decide whether it wants to stay on or off, because that's giving me a headache. But anyway, I finished basing this about 4:30 yesterday afternoon, and it's only about 2 o'clock now. So I'm at about 22 hours, and I got 24 before I can recoat it without scuffing it. But I did kind of wisp over it with a red Scotch-Brite, and before I put that epoxy down in these spots, and I'm going to zip over the whole thing real quick with a red Scotch-Brite, and just to make sure, and then we're going to get those spots rebased. Same thing with the other side. And we have suspicion and reason to believe that that lightning fast primer that I'm using may have or may have not been in the list of products that got taken off the shelf about a year ago. So we're going to check into that and make sure that's is or is not what the problem is, but just had these 3 spots, and I actually dusted some base coat over this one and the top one, and wet sanded it with a little 800 and then did it again, and those spots actually disappeared. And that was similar to what happened on these fenders. Not so much the driver fender, but the passenger fender did it, and we actually got rid of it with those. But that one down low and these couple ones on the other side, they just didn't want to go away. So got my YouTube Garage Gang gear on today. I'm feeling it, so we're going to give it a shot here in a little bit. Probably saw this cup sitting here as I walked by it. That's a Sata disposable cup for the quick connect cup system that's on my gun, and I forgot I had this whole box of them, so I'm going to use them up because I'm almost out of the PPS cups. So we will get this and put it on the paint bench and get it ready. So I'm going to go over this whole thing and give it a quick scuffy, and we'll go from there. I'll bring you back when we're ready to throw some paint down. Alright guys, we're ready to get some paint moving here. I took a gray Scotch-Brite and went over the whole blend panel again just to make sure, because I did have one coat of 500 color blender over this whole thing, which should have the same recoat window as the base coat. You know, should be 24 hours, but who knows what time it'll be once I start clearing, so I wanted to make sure that was ready to go. And I took the gray scuff pad just around the edges, any dry spray that came out here that felt rough, I just kind of gave it a quickie to make sure that was okay. So I think I'm ready to spray finally again. Had a nice chat with my buddy Cheater 40 last night. He gave me a call, and you know, it's amazing people you meet on YouTube, how you find that you really have a lot of stuff in common. And I don't even think we talked about paint and body work hardly at all. You know, just somebody to BS with and you know, hang out for a little bit. And I got to talk to Darren today too, which was pretty cool. And again, you know, another hour and 20-minute phone conversation, and you know, just talking about this and that, like you're meeting somebody for the first time, but you feel like you know them. So you just start talking about things you have in common, and conversation stems from that. So there you go, Sata 3000 HVLP. This is my base gun. It's got the 1.3 tip, and this is a Sata RPS ready preparation system. I think it stands for. It's just their disposable cup. No adapter required, just goes right on the gun. And we're going to lightly base coat these areas where I had the bleed through, and then we'll come back after those flash and get a little more aggressive, but not too aggressive. And then I'll do another final you know, blending out of this. I've already done pretty much all the blending, but who knows where any of that splatter might have gone. So we want to make sure we don't have any epoxy splatters off in this area. So I'll thin this color down a little bit and go across the whole panel. Color match is definitely not what I'm going for at this point. I'm going for a panel that's painted and not screwed up. So here we go. Again, I'm not trying to hide this on the first coat. I'm just trying to get a little bit on there. Not worried about having minimal light over here until I start blending and making sure that's all hidden. So this is just my first light coat. Normally I'd spray my base a little heavier than that, but due to the fact we had some issues yesterday, I'm going to be a little less aggressive with it, and I'm hoping that epoxy is going to do its job, because it went down into medium or a little less than a medium coat. They weren't wet for sure, they were pretty dry, which also gave it a little bit of texture, but what are you going to do? We're going to see if it holds it out, and if it does, great. We'll be clear coating later, so I'll turn you on in a little bit. So while we're waiting for that paint to flash, I figure we'll have a little show and tell story time here. I want to talk a little bit about these two paint guns right here, which may bring up controversy, but I think some people misunderstood me. The gun in my right hand here is a DeVilbiss Plus, and this gun will really put some material down on a panel. And I had a question, obviously relating to this subject, between this DeVilbiss Plus and this Iwata LPH 400. This gun is a Chevrolet, okay? It'll do the job. It's a real nice gun. Puts out a lot of material. But I would say it's not as fine-tuned as the Iwata, which is in my left hand here. And this gun is more like your Mercedes or BMW. A lot more money goes into engineering the way it sprays. Same thing with the Sata that I use for Basecoat. There's a lot more engineering that goes into this air cap right here on the front of the gun. And I guess the big question was, why do I like this Iwata that I just bought as compared to the DeVilbiss? Well, the reason that I went and stepped up to this gun was an issue with clearing overspray in the wintertime. And I guess the question was, why do you like the Iwata better in the winter? Well, I like it better because I can't get enough ventilation in my shop to use this gun on bigger repairs than, say, a fender or just a hood or something like that. I'm painting multiple panels here, so I ended up trying one of these out, this Iwata gun, and what I like about it is the low pressure that it sprays at. Creates a lot less overspray, and because it's cold out, I don't want to draw all that cold air into my shop, because it'll get sucked right through the shop with my exhaust and my filter system. I don't have a makeup heat system, so sometimes I'll leave the heater run and leave the door open, but my exhaust actually wasn't working correctly, and I got filters in it now. New filters. The old ones were getting just real dirty. They weren't full of paint, but they were just dirty. So that's been changed, and it draws air a lot cleaner and a lot faster now. But in the summertime, this Plus is a real nice gun, for the simple fact that if you're spraying paint in higher temperatures, 80s, 90s, or above even, this puts a lot of material out in a short period of time. You don't really want to slow down your pass on a panel with this Plus gun, because you'll run the paint. You need to practice a little bit and then go for painting your actual car or whatever you're going to paint. This gun does an awesome job when the temperatures are warmer, because your overspray or your spray mist coming out of the gun, when it's real hot, tends to dry fast, and this keeps it a lot wetter. So when you're painting, especially clear coat or single stage paint, you always have to have a wet edge, and if you have a dry edge, it's going to show, or your paint's not going to flow, or any of those things. So there's really nothing wrong with this gun. This is an awesome gun. I bought it in the spring and I used it in the summer, and it worked good for me because I was able to get rid of the overspray. The overspray isn't a huge factor to me. I don't like it, but being able to have a gun that can put the material down quickly is something that really works good. But again, in the wintertime, in a small space, painting in your garage, this gun just takes a little more getting used to for wintertime for me. But when I used it in the summer, it works fantastic. Super gun, awesome price, bang for your buck. So this is an awesome gun. The Iwata, it's top of the line gun as far as I'm concerned. The Satas and Iwatas and Segolas and all of those guns are engineered to put down a super fine mist and atomize very well. This gun, I would say, atomizes even better than my Sata HVLP for me. So that was the other reason that I bought it. I was looking for something to lay my clear a little slicker, and it's not all in the gun. You need a lot of practice doing it. It's in your tempo, your speed going across the panel, so and your spray distance. And I've said it before, but I'm going to repeat it because I think it's important. With any HVLP style gun, high volume, low pressure, from my experience, they tell you, there's a rule of thumb on the distance you spray away from a panel, and you can read it on the forums. You can watch DVDs, watch YouTube videos, people doing instructional, and they're going to tell you that it's this distance, which is about 6 to 8 inches. And in a non-controlled environment, such as in your home garage or shop, where you don't have access to a full downdraft paint booth. I do have an evacuation system, but it does not move the volume of air that a full downdraft booth would do. That painting distance does not work. You really need to close your distance up to about 4 or 5 inches, because that material has to go on the panel wet, just like I was saying before. So that's one thing to keep in mind with the HVLP guns. And then for this gun here, it'll put it on wet, but if you close up your distance to 4 or 5 inches, the amount of pressure coming out of here will actually blow the material off the panel if you aren't moving super fast. I mean, it puts down too much material to move slow. This is a fast moving production type gun. So that doesn't mean, zipping back and forth like this, but you got to move. Whereas this gun is a slow, methodical, watch what you're doing kind of gun. You can speed it up a little bit by getting real close in that 4-inch range, and that's what I do because I like it fast. So I just want to try and clear that up for a few people, and I wanted to try and let people know why I prefer this Iwata, because I paint the majority of my work in the wintertime, and I have a big shop to heat, and I'm heating it with forced air torpedo heaters, and I can't be opening doors and forcing that cold air in here because I just can't make it up and keep the shop warm. So you can probably hear my exhaust running in the background, but we're in between coats here, and if my temperatures drop below 75 in here, I will drop that, and I will turn the heat back on. So the overspray's had a chance to clear and all that. So I know some of you guys like the paint gun talks, and some of you guys, everybody's got their preference. Some people like to drive a Chevy, some people like to drive a Mercedes. Some people can do just as good of results with the Chevy as they can the Mercedes, and I'm not one of those people yet. I've been painting for a long time, but I still am not, I don't paint 10 cars a day, and that's where you get your practice. To get it perfect on the first shot would be a stroke of miracle. So when I'm painting a couple things a week, you see videos where I paint every couple of days. Well, it's really not that often, because those videos are sometimes several days or weeks or months apart. This is not an everyday operation for me. This is a hobby for me. So when you ask questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability, but sometimes they're better directed to people in the garage that do these jobs as a career. I know a lot about process, and I know how to read a technical manual, and I know how to follow the rules. But what I also know is that guys that do it every day know how to do all those things, plus they have the experience. So just keep that in mind, guys. Just wanted to go over that stuff and burn some time up while we're waiting for that paint to flash. So we'll go out, and we're going to throw another coat on it, and hell, we're at 10 minutes. That's enough flash time. It looks like we're at about 74 or 75, so we're going to put this coat on and fire the heat again. So you can see the way this dried, it's a little darker. It hasn't hidden what it has to hide. That epoxy is making that a little darker. So we got a little ways to go here. Alright guys, I will turn you back on when it's time for the next coat, so we'll talk to you in a minute. Alright guys, it's time for the next coat. Now you can see I've got kind of a strange looking edge around there, and that's kind of where I stopped applying base coat, and the other thing is that's the edge of that epoxy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the edge of the door and carry my color all the way into this door with a full coat on it at this point. That's a real light coat and a medium wet coat, and I'll do another medium wet, you know, not to the point where it's like flowing on there. We don't want any runs. I'm not seeing any of my repair area. I'm seeing where the base stops, but I'm not seeing my repair, so I'm pretty confident with that. So we're going to go ahead and do that. You probably saw me go up here and hit a spot on the roof. I actually hit that door on a drive-on lift on the side rail of it a while ago, and I touched it up with primer and then brush touched it and then tried to blend it out, and as I buffed it, it burned it right off of there. So we're doing it right this time. So that should be all we need to do there. So there you go. We'll see what that looks like when that flashes off. I'll go hit the other side, but I'm going to move the light, and this video is already getting long, so we're just going to keep it rolling here. I'll talk to you in a few. Alright guys, last coat of base coat you saw me put on, I think was a little more wet than the first one, and I still hadn't had all the epoxy hidden. So I went and put a third, medium wet coat on, and ran into more issues. Actually started to, the epoxy started to crack just a little bit, so there were some lines in it. So I let that go for a couple hours with the heat cranked, and came back and hit that with some 600 grit and knocked that down once that calmed down. So every spot did it. So now we've resorted, I didn't turn you guys on because I'm getting real frustrated with it, but I think we're on the upswing of it at least. Cross our fingers and toes for sure. I put some very light coats on it. I put 2 light coats on each side, and the bullshit that happened is pretty much gone. I've got some peel in it, unfortunately, but not a whole lot I can do about it right now. Kind of is what it's going to be. So I keep looking at these spots. I'm waiting for this. It's been about 10 minutes. I'm giving it an extended flash time for sure, because I don't got some dry spray right there. I don't want any further issues. And I go back and forth between how I spray my base. Some colors you can spray a little wetter than others, but oh yeah, that's a nice dry spray. That'll look awesome. We need to scuffy that off. That's not bad up there, but that stuff is fun. Right at the door where I kept blending it over. She's a little dry, but I was running out of my window for recoating this over here, and I didn't scuff it very good, thinking I'd make my time limit, and I slowly approached that, so I coated the doors too. So we're just we're kind of biding our time here and waiting to see, make sure this is good and flashed off. So just wanted to give you guys an update, and hopefully we'll be clearing it soon. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to clear this thing. Any spots that I thought were immediately questionable, I sprayed wax and grease remover on, and they appear to be gone. There's no ringing. Just those few, what I call mud cracking, but we sanded them out. And now it just kind of looks a little peely. And as soon as I put some wax and grease remover over it, it came out nice. So. If it doesn't, at least the Clearcoat will lock down whatever bullshit's going on underneath there. So without further ado, we're going to use the MS30 Clear and dovetail these hardeners together. There's never a problem with that. Unless, of course, you put too much fast in something and it's too hot out, or too much slow and it's too cold. Soaking in its 5-gallon bucket of warm water so that it's nice and fluid. Check the Iwata here and make sure I don't. I cleaned it well the last time I used it, but you never can tell. With all the things that have gone wrong. To check, you know. Make sure the little secondary air passages are clear. I strain the clear before I put it in the PPS cup. These actually have a screen in them, but it's just a habit I'm in, so straining more than once can never hurt. So I'm going to leave this upside down for a second here. Alrighty. Yeah, I don't know if the camera will pick them up, but there's a couple little areas that aren't really orange peel, and I knocked them down a pretty good ways. Maybe that's a little better example. But when I wax and grease removered over those, they completely disappeared. So here's crossing our fingers that that's all going to fly. We're going to start on the roof, on the top of the pillar there, so that I don't drag any shit into it up here. And then I'm going to work my way down. before I do the sail panel, if that's what you want to call it, the tops of the doors, whichever. I'm going to spray my offsets, and that means we're going to spray around the window a little bit and make sure that that's covered. All right. Actually, I think before we get started, I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to change this coupler on this air hose because God forbid there's any water in that thing. You heard it hissing. We don't want another tragedy, so I'll bring you back in a second. All right, evidently I have two bad couplers, so we got an MaxiCat on there. bring you guys back in a few. Okay guys, we're going for the second coat, and I've already done the passenger side. It's kind of foggy. that fog clear out in there. And earlier in this video I said that this puts out a lot less overspray, but painting that many panels at once, it certainly, you know, is more than you'd like, but it's a far cry from some of the guns I've used for sure, and I like the way it lays out. I can already see there's a bunch of trash in this, and we're going to be sanding some stuff, so we'll take a look at it here once it's good and flashed off. So I'm going to get this gun cleaned and I'll bring you back in a minute. Alright, there you go, guys. It's nice and super shiny, but it's full of garbage, so we'll definitely have to sand the trash out. Got some good stuff right in there. Just trying, this thing's been fighting me all day, so, you know, of course I start to lose interest in how hard I fight back, because I already know I gotta sand it, so it's pretty slick though. Some peel in that other side for sure, but yeah, there's some trash up in here too, and that may have, I don't think it was in the base coat, but we'll find out. I may sand it and re-clear it once I make sure that all that stuff from before is held down, and it looks like we're all good on that. So that was my overmix right there, about 6 ounces at the line between the 4 and the 8, so that's 6. So not bad. I'm usually good for about 3, but it all worked out. So I'll get this uploaded for you, and don't forget the mumble tonight.